Hello everyone, this is the Earth Archives. There are many predictions about what the future of mankind will be like, but when it comes to novels that predict today's world, George Orwell's 1984 is absolutely indispensable. This dystopian work, many of the prophecies are all coming true today. Before the show starts, please help subscribe, like and turn on the little bell. This will help the Earth Archives grow. The show starts. George Orwell's 1984 stands as one of the most influential dystopian novels of the 20th century. Written in 1948 and published in 1949, Orwell's portrayal of a totalitarian regime remains profoundly relevant, offering insights into the mechanisms of political control and the erosion of personal freedoms. This article provides a detailed examination of 1984, exploring its major themes, characters, and socio-political implications, while maintaining clarity and accessibility for readers. Setting the stage, the world of Oceania. The totalitarian state. 1984 is set in the superstate of Oceania, where the party, led by the omnipresent Big Brother, exerts absolute authority. The society is characterized by pervasive surveillance, propaganda, and the suppression of dissent. The party's control is maintained through a combination of fear, manipulation, and a complete erasure of personal privacy. This section explores how Orwell constructs this dystopian world, examining its key features and their impact on the inhabitants. Surveillance and privacy. The concept of surveillance is central to the novel, symbolized by the ubiquitous telescreens that monitor citizens' every move. The thought police, another instrument of control, enforce the party's ideology by identifying and punishing dissent. Orwell's portrayal of this constant surveillance serves as a stark warning about the potential consequences of a society stripped of privacy and individual freedom. Mechanisms of control. How the party maintains power. Newspeak, the language of control. One of Orwell's most profound contributions to the discourse on political control is the concept of newspeak. Newspeak is an artificially constructed language designed to eliminate the possibility of rebellious thoughts by reducing the range of expressible ideas. This section delves into how newspeak functions as a tool of cognitive control, analyzing its impact on language, thought, and resistance. Doublethink, embracing contradiction. Doublethink, the ability to accept two contradictory beliefs simultaneously, is another critical mechanism employed by the party. This concept allows the regime to manipulate reality and enforce ideological conformity. The exploration of doublethink highlights the psychological impact of living under an authoritarian regime where objective truth becomes a malleable construct. Historical revisionism and propaganda. The party's control extends to the manipulation of historical records and the dissemination of propaganda. By constantly revising history to fit its current narrative, the party ensures that its version of reality is perceived as the only truth. This section examines how Orwell uses historical revisionism and propaganda to illustrate the dangers of a regime that controls both the past and the present. Characters in the shadow of totalitarianism. Winston Smith, the reluctant rebel. Winston Smith, the protagonist, represents the struggle against the party's oppressive control. Working at the Ministry of Truth, where he alters historical records, Winston becomes increasingly disillusioned with the regime. His journey from reluctant conformity to active rebellion and eventual submission offers a poignant exploration of the human desire for freedom and authenticity. Julia, the ally in rebellion. Julia, Winston's lover and fellow rebel, plays a crucial role in his resistance against the party. Her character embodies a more pragmatic and immediate form of rebellion, contrasting with Winston's intellectual and existential struggle. The dynamics between Winston and Julia provide insight into personal relationships under totalitarian rule and the complexities of resistance. O'Brien, the face of betrayal. O'Brien, a high-ranking party official and Winston's seeming ally, represents the ultimate betrayal. His manipulation and eventual betrayal of Winston highlight the extent of the party's control and the ease with which it can crush dissent. O'Brien's character serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of misplaced trust and the treachery inherent in totalitarian regimes. Themes and implications. The nature of totalitarianism. Orwell's 1984 provides a detailed analysis of totalitarianism, exploring its mechanisms and impacts on society. The novel serves as a critique of political systems that seek to dominate every aspect of human life, offering a sobering reflection on the nature of power and control. The erosion of truth and reality. A central theme of the novel is the erosion of objective truth and reality. Through the manipulation of language, history, and individual thought, the party creates a world where truth is fluid and subjective. This theme resonates with contemporary discussions about the nature of truth and the impact of misinformation. The human spirit and resistance. Despite the oppressive regime, 1984 explores the resilience of the human spirit and the desire for personal freedom. Winston's struggle for truth and identity, even in the face of overwhelming odds, underscores the enduring human quest for authenticity and resistance against tyranny. The legacy of 1984, relevance in the modern world. Surveillance and privacy in the digital age. Orwell's vision of a surveillance state has striking parallels with contemporary issues related to privacy and digital surveillance. This section examines how modern technologies reflect Orwell's warnings about the erosion of privacy and the implications for personal freedom. Political manipulation and propaganda. The mechanisms of control depicted in 1984 are relevant to discussions about political manipulation and propaganda in the modern era. The use of media, misinformation, and ideological control in contemporary politics mirrors many of the novel's themes. The importance of vigilance and resistance. Orwell's 1984 serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of complacency in the face of authoritarianism. The novel's legacy underscores the importance of vigilance, critical thinking, and resistance in safeguarding democratic values and personal freedoms. Though set in a fictional world, Orwell's predictions are not mere flights of fancy but a stern warning against the dangers of unchecked power and systemic manipulation. Today, more than 70 years later, 1984 resonates profoundly as a lens to evaluate contemporary societal trends, revealing unsettling parallels between Orwell's dystopia and our present reality. Orwell's prediction of the future. Orwell's 1984 presents a society where the government, embodied by the party and its leader, Big Brother, exercises absolute control over every facet of life. This dystopian future is characterized by several key features. Omnipresent surveillance. In Orwell's world, the party employs constant surveillance through telescreens and hidden microphones, ensuring that citizens' every action and word are monitored. This surveillance cultivates an environment of perpetual fear and obedience. Propaganda and thought control. The party incessantly disseminates propaganda, rewriting history and manipulating facts to maintain its grip on power. Concepts like doublethink and newspeak are tools to control thought, eroding the very notion of objective truth. Suppression of individuality. Individuality is crushed under the weight of conformity. Personal relationships, free expression, and independent thought are ruthlessly suppressed to prevent any challenge to the party's authority. Perpetual war. The state of continuous war serves to justify the party's authoritarian measures, perpetuating a climate of fear and dependency among the populace. Echoes of 1984 in today's world. While Orwell's vision may seem extreme, several aspects of 1984 find unsettling parallels in contemporary society. Surveillance technology. The rise of sophisticated surveillance technologies, including widespread CCTV, internet monitoring, and data collection by governments and corporations, mirrors Orwell's omnipresent surveillance. The debate over privacy rights versus security concerns continues to be a contentious issue. Media manipulation and fake news. The manipulation of information and the rise of fake news reflect the party's control over truth in 1984. The proliferation of biased news sources and the phenomenon of echo chambers threaten the integrity of public discourse. Erosion of privacy. Digital platforms often require users to trade privacy for convenience, with personal data being harvested and used for targeted advertising or, more alarmingly, for political manipulation. Authoritarianism and populism. The resurgence of authoritarian regimes and populist leaders around the world, who employ tactics of fear-mongering, scapegoating, and suppression of dissent, evoke the party's oppressive rule. Censorship and free speech. The increasing instances of censorship, whether by governments, corporations, or social media platforms, pose a threat to free expression. The chilling effect on speech and the narrowing of acceptable viewpoints echo the suppression of individuality in 1984. A stark warning for the future. Orwell's 1984 is not merely a cautionary tale but a call to vigilance. It urges us to recognize and resist the encroachments on our freedoms and the manipulation of truth. As we navigate the complexities of the digital age and the shifting political landscape, the lessons from 1984 remain vitally important. Conclusion. George Orwell's 1984 serves as a timeless warning against the perils of totalitarianism and the fragility of freedom. While the novel's dystopian vision is extreme, the echoes of Orwell's predictions in today's world are too significant to ignore. It is incumbent upon us to safeguard our liberties, uphold the sanctity of truth, and remain ever watchful against the forces that seek to undermine our democratic values. Warning. In the shadow of Orwell's 1984, we must remember that the preservation of freedom requires constant vigilance. The erosion of privacy, the manipulation of information, and the rise of authoritarian tendencies are not distant threats but present dangers. As citizens of a rapidly evolving world, it is our responsibility to champion transparency, defend our rights, and hold power to account, ensuring that Orwell's dystopian nightmare remains a work of fiction rather than a grim reality.